we can finally move into this middle section, which is like purely electronic and like programmed. Even the drums are electronic, bunch of different things. So a lot going on. This was actually a lot of fun to remake. There's a lot of little tiny, as I would call them, ear candy parts that I just had a lot of fun remaking. And I feel like I did pretty good at remaking this section. So yeah, we'll just get right into it, and then we'll kind of break down part by part. So first, I guess we'll start with the last part of the riff. And so yeah, that is the little break, electronic break part. And as you can see, there's a decent amount of things going on. I mean, obviously there's some overlapping empty sections of other instruments, but yeah, we can see we have quite a bit going on. I don't know what this is. Oh yeah, there's that weird sound that's paired with that snare. I can't really recreate that. I don't even know what it is. So that was kind of the only thing I stole, if you will, was just that snare hit that I just resampled over and over for every hit. And that was really the only thing I had to actually take. And then, yeah, of course, they like to glitch everything in this, which I used to love. I used to love that little trait. But yeah, they glitch a lot of things. So as you could tell, there's a couple skips in there that we had to kind of write in. And then that's where the part actually begins, is kind of where that snare is done, because obviously we have the guitar ringing that cuts as soon as that cuts, and then everything else comes in. So we'll just kind of work from there. So the first thing was remaking the drums, which I used a program that's quite old actually. It's kind of just like a sampled electronic kit, and I kind of just knew I needed a very flat kind of electronic sounding snare, just something simple. And that was exactly it, especially with that little crunch, that little bit crunch, that midsection to the snare I felt like was pretty much almost identical. So I felt like this was a good snare to use. Perfect. And then the 808, I knew I had to basically find an 808 that had a lot of saturation or tone to it that would kind of groan. It kind of has like a weird tone to the 808 in this section, so I knew I needed to get some kind of distortion out of it. So I'm pretty sure what I did, I'm not even sure if it's in here. I don't know how I would find it. I don't remember how I did it. But I think I just EQ'd it and just kind of had it EQ'd and filtered in a way that it's just very, very low passed. And then I just blow out the subs, so the subs just really obnoxiously emphasized, which just creates that distortion sound. It's almost like the kick is blowing out. And that's basically how I made that. I just blew the sound out, basically. And that's the kick, that's the snare. And that was as simple as making this little drum beat. As you can hear, the distortion of the kick kind of cuts after a bit, and it kind of, when the piano comes in, it becomes a little less harsh. So again, whatever it was that I did that did emphasize the sub of the kick that kind of made that distortion and blew out the sound, I kind of got rid of it and cut it out right here. Once this comes in, I was just going to say, oh, there you go. I have a chain that I'm sending it to. Holy Christ. So yeah, I guess this is how I distorted the kick, was just a lot of distortion and stuff, a little bit of reverb. EQing, obviously, and then, yeah, just a lot of distortion. And then I just cut it out here, or probably just made it more subtle here. As you can hear, it just kind of cuts down. So that also explains the distortion on the snare. And yeah, that's how I made the electronic kit for this part. I just kind of sent it through a lot of trash. So this is exactly what I was trying to get at. Remember when I said I don't know how I did it or where it is? This is where it was. It was in that send bus that I was putting it to. So this is the EQ I'm talking about. Obviously we're gaining at 8 in pretty much the sweet spot of the low end of the kick. So it's just blowing that kick out. It's also adding a lot of distortion of the snare. And then just basically cutting out all the harsh, like high or mid section to just kind of, again, emphasize that distortion sub area. And then just to kind of get rid of the effect, I just kind of canceled it out with a low pass. And that's what kind of keeps the distortion but makes it nowhere near as harsh. You can even hear it's kind of boxy, like the kick is very, very thuddy and it sounds like it's in a very deep room. And then it kind of just fades away. Becomes a lot tighter, a lot quicker of a hit, and has a lot more, like, I guess, body or punch to it. So yeah, that is literally just a kick and snare. Then the other fun part was basically making these little hi-hat hits. And what I had to do was just pan them around, kind of get them dancing around the speakers. And so what I did was just add a little delay that just fades and ping-pong side to side. And with that, that was basically how I did that. And then I believe, yeah, I just added some reverb on the send, and that'll be the hi-hats. Not only does it have some stereo dancing to it, as I would like to call it, but it also has like an echo that repeats the hi-hats in these empty spaces here. So again, that's just hence the delay and hence why there's a lot of feedback, so that it kind of carries over notes. It's to kind of fill these empty spaces because again, there is an echo on the actual real song. So that's kind of just what I did to give it some stereo dancing, again, as I like to say, and to fill that space with some delay. And that's basically, again, just the hi-hats right there. And it's as simple as that for the drums. That's literally all I had to do for the drums. I mean, not to say literally all I had to do, like it was quick and easy, but that was the simple process of kick, snare, and hi-hats. They got a little bit of delay on the hi-hats to give it that dancing, and then we got the distortion that we explained to kind of blow out the kick and the snare, and kind of keep it going, but a lot more subtly as it develops. And that's basically the drum kit we use for the electronic part. Then the next part is obviously the synths and everything else that we're using here. So the first main synth is the electronic piano that we have. Nice simple little lead, actually very similar to the last song we were just working on, also had electric piano. Kind of the same tonality, same idea, it might even be the same patch, who knows. But yeah, it's just a nice sweet little riff. And that's our simple little piano. Next up, we have our Synth Bassline, which is basically playing the same thing just as a sub. It's kind of like a Reese bass, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's basically just a simple little bass pad going and filling the bottom of the space, and that's that. So again, just playing the same riff. Kind of just so that you can feel that lead a little bit more, like you can feel the presence of the notes a bit more with the sub underneath it. So just a simple little thing. I'll admit I don't know what this is, probably some kind of ambience, so we're gonna find out, I guess. Yeah, okay, it's just a white filter that I probably transgated like crazy. Yep, there we go. So I guess it was just some weird sound. Oh, there you go. It's an 8-bit hi-hat sound that I just threw through a oh my god, I can't talk. I put it through a transgate, and as you can see, this is the motion that it's just looping through over and over. I'm pretty sure this is the same motion that I heard out of the white noise filter they have going in the background, so that's where I got the idea for, and that's kind of where the arpeggiator or transgate, however you want to call it, that's where that came from. And then lastly, I believe lastly, yes, the last thing we have is probably my favorite thing, which is the little pew pew lasers that I have in Serum. I've actually had, oh geez, I've actually had a laser for a while, and I always love lasers. Like, tell me that's not fun. Tell me if you had that sound, you wouldn't just spam it. Like, come on, it feels like I'm in like an arcade or something, playing laser tag or something. It's awesome. So I already knew I had quite a few lasers, and I know that they have kind of like a laser blip noise at the fill of every, like, quarter note fill here at the end of every loop. So just added those, and that was as easy as that was, you know, just a simple little, and that's all that is. Just a little laser gun quad note, and that's what that is. We've got the background filter, the white noise filter, of course, the electronic piano and the sub pairing, and then this is all the electronic or synth parts, if you will, without the drums together. And ta-da, 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 that's the whole part. We've got the drums, we've got the synths, we've got the little effects and everything, all the ambience, and that's how I remade that whole middle section. Like I said, the only thing we had to rip out was this little snare, which again, there was no way I could recreate it, and I really wanted it to be close enough, so I just figured why not just sample it again. And that's the only thing we really took. Otherwise, this is all recreated, and I think it came out pretty well. I feel like I hit every detail there was. I don't think I missed anything as far as the sound that's in that part. So even if it's not exact in tonality, I do believe we've got everything covered. We've got our bases covered. So let's listen to it again as a full section. Real quick, actually, I did notice I forgot to mention the clap. I do have a glitch going on with these claps, and yeah. That's as simple as that. It's just like a really weird glitch that they have in the song, so it just sounded like a clap to me, so I just recreated it with a clap and glitched the shit out of it. And yeah, so that was the only thing I forgot to mention.